Hello, hello, and welcome to a Volo's Monster episode of How to Play D&D. This is playing a podcast with one experienced dungeon master and one failed scriptwriter to discuss D&D topics. My name is Kinsey. I'm proud to say my guest for the entirety of this series is none other than Abby from Tabletop Curiosities. Hello, Abby.
Hello.
Hello, thank you, and welcome back for episode 7 of Volo's Monsters season episodes kind of thing. What monster have you picked for us this week?
The Death Kiss.
Let's get to it. Okay, so today's episode is on the Death Kiss. If you have a fear of being sucked beyond pleasure, this is for you. Abby, konnichiwa, aigogo, hanasaneshi, you can see why I'm embarrassed now, shikin shishata and desa, which means, hello, I don't speak English, I've pissed myself. What am I doing?
Yeah, embarrassing yourself, yeah.
Trying to learn Japanese and just messed it up on the podcast immediately.
That wasn't that bad, to be honest. That wasn't the worst part of that.
No, I think it was actually explaining in English what I said is what was my letdown. All right, to the main questions. Why did you pick the Death Kiss?
It's just super cool. It's not a common thing. I haven't seen it around all that much. I hadn't seen it until reading Volo's guide. And yeah, I think there's many ways to play this one as well. The way it looks particularly, I think, is quite fun.
I absolutely loved it. As we just said before we started recording, I had never heard of this. I thought when I was going to look into it that it was going to be this kind of horrible kind of like nightmare beast. And it is that, but it looks kind of like, so, you know, in like a sci-fi film where people come across like a new planet, they find this cute creature and then it kind of gets bigger and it's terrifying. That's kind of what I got straight away from looking at it.
Yeah, exactly that. We're talking like quite a large aberration, spherical with a central eye, which makes you start going down a path of thinking maybe this is like a beholder type object, which it is. But it's cute. It's not got eye stalks. It's got like tentacles, but they're kind of like flowy. And it's pink. It's like could be very cute and then horrific, like you say, that sort of sci-fi moment.
100% feels like an artist trying to get their work out on Instagram has done like horror versions of Pokemon. Do you know, it's like the Pokemon thing of like it's got to be round and pink and cute, and then someone on Instagram has gone, let's put tentacles on it and a red eye.
Yeah, that is spot on. I think that might be why I love it as well, because I love Pokemon and I love that vibe. So I think it's very much on that alley.
100%. Yeah, that wasn't an insult in any way. It's kind of like more things you'd want from Pokemon. All right. So what kind of stats does a Death Kiss have?
So pretty good. We're talking challenge rating 10. So it's not to be shafted. I don't imagine you'd ever really have more than one of these guys. They strike me as quite solitary things. I think Volo says some stuff about that they kind of just pop up and roam when beholders dream of blood. This is how they're created, which is very strange.
Right, okay.
Which kind of makes sense with their stat block as well, because it's quite blood-based. So they can like drain blood. They've got lightning blood. So there's things to play around with in terms of like taking lightning damage. Interesting things will happen. And it could also, as you say, do that like sci-fi, I'm going to suck your blood kind of situation.
I think it's a really cool, I mean, now we're talking about, I do think it would be a good creature if you wanted to kind of put D&D in space, that it's not a straight out of like a kind of like fantasy beholder, but it is the space version of it that would make complete sense because of like its tentacles. I think it could work. I think there's lots of I'm looking at the stat block now. I think there's loads that you could do with it to kind of like make it the creature going around the ship, getting people one by one.
Yeah, definitely. It could be like an alien type thing where the tentacles are coming around corners and you maybe don't even see it at first. there's a lot of scope for it to go in a lot of different settings as well. It's not just your classic medieval tavern
Yeah.
monster.
So how does a DM use a death kiss in their game regularly? Obviously, we've just talked about how you could use it for like sci-fi, but like off the bat. But how does a DM usually use this in a regular setting?
So Volo kind of touches on it in his guide actually, that there's like the death kiss would sometimes allow itself to be seen as a beholder. So people could maybe stumble across it and they would run because they think, oh my goodness, there's a beholder
Mm.
here. But so that could be maybe a kind of hook to say there's been beholder sightings, we need some great heroes. And then it kind of messes with the party as a DM if that they think they are going into something very scary and it's a different kind of scary.
We talk about that quite a lot, don't we, in these monster episodes of like how it works in role playing combat rather than like even from a player like mental state of if they know the creature, then they kind of know what they're dealing with. So like if you can describe it in a different way or kind of trick them a bit, it's they kind of like trip up on what they're going to be dealing with. They can't mentally prepare for it, which is always good.
Yeah, and it kind of forces some of their moments of, spontaneity that
Yeah.
you can't always plan for it. I know like parties like to try, but you can't always.
Mm. So you just said the next question was, can you give an example of when you used or encountered one? You haven't used one, right, until you've come across this book, or have you used one?
No, I actually haven't managed to get it into anything at the moment. What I'm running is quite Hells specific. So it could turn up in the Hells, but there's plenty of stuff to play with there. So
Mm.
this is one I'm definitely hopefully gonna come across now that we've put it out in the ether. Someone might chuck one into a game. But yeah, I'll be putting this guy in a campaign for sure.
This has definitely got to be kind of like the BBG of like a Valentine's Day one shot. I think it's
That's
it's it's,
good.
it's the right colors, the kind of right color palette like a kind of one pager. I think it would be really good creature to
Valentine's
use.
in space.
Yeah, maybe
Sorted.
maybe that's what we do. We'll do an actual play of this. So we've been doing these with a kind of a direct quote from Volo from the book. Do you have anything from the Death Kiss?
So Volo says, when a beholder dreams of beholders, that's when the real trouble starts.
Nice. Okay. Even that itself is elusive because
Yeah,
that's kind of not
yeah,
what you literally would need to have read like seen what the Death Kiss is to then kind of know what Volo's referring to.
yeah, for sure. You have to read his chunks of explanation because the
Mm.
things he discusses in the book sometimes you're just like crazy.
Yeah, they're just like tangents rather than actually
Yeah,
describing what he's seen. Yeah, nice.
yeah.
Well, once again, a nice short and sweet episode for our Tuesday listeners. Today's adventure is sadly come to a close. We're back again next week with the topic: Are crabs vulnerable to the cold? And as always, thank you for tuning in. And if you'd like joining the D&D action, then please follow us on Instagram at How to Play D&D, or check out the link in our bio to join our Discord server. And also check out Black Mark Clone Instagram for cool D&D clothing. Abby, what do you do and where can we find you?
I am a dice maker. You can find me at Tabletop Curiosities on Etsy, TikTok, Instagram.
And as always, all the links will be in the show notes. I've been Connor Kinsey.
I've been Abby.
Good day.